There are things we carry without telling anyone. Not because they're too shocking, but because telling them would change how people look at you. And maybe how you look at yourself. This is one of those things. I've never told this story. Not when people asked me directly. Not when I should have told it. I spent years changing the subject, avoiding details, pretending I didn't remember. But I remember everything. I remember the smell of coffee going cold on the kitchen table. The sound of children playing outside on the street. The afternoon light coming through the window, that soft, golden light that makes everything feel slightly unreal. I remember standing there, holding information that was never meant to stay with me. And I remember choosing to stay quiet. At the time, my life was predictable. Work, home, occasional visits on the weekends. A very ordinary adult life, the kind you don't plan but slowly fall into. You wake up one day and realize you've become someone who goes to the same places, sees the same people, repeats the same gestures. There was a friendship that was part of that routine. The kind that starts quietly and deepens without you noticing. Lunch conversations. Silly messages during the day. The kind of person you call when something good happens. She was married. You seem like a normal guy. The kind of marriage that looks functional from the outside. Not passionate, not dramatic. Just stable. They had plans. They wanted kids soon. They were renovating the house. I saw them together sometimes. Dinners, birthdays, small gatherings. He joked. She laughed. He'd place his hand on her back when they walked. The kind of gestures we're taught to read as love. Or as a very good disguise. I found out by accident. I wasn't looking. I wasn't suspicious. It was one of those coincidences that only happen in real life, because if it were a movie, no one would believe it. I was coming back from a trip outside the city. Stopped at a gas station on the side of the road. It was late, almost dark. I went inside to use the bathroom and buy water. And I saw him. He was leaning against the counter, waiting to pay. He wasn't alone. There was a woman next to him. Younger. His arm around her waist. Her hand in the back pocket of his jeans. That kind of intimacy you can't fake. That sense of ownership over another person's body that only exists when there's more than a few casual meetings. They didn't see me. I stood there, half hidden between the shelves, watching. I watched him kiss the top of her head. I watched her laugh at something he said. I watched them walk out together and get into his car. The same car I had seen parked in the garage of the house he shared with my friend. I stayed there after they left. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel outrage. I felt something stranger. A kind of weight. As if someone had just handed me a bomb and I had no idea where to put it. I drove home on autopilot. I kept thinking about how this works. How someone wakes up in the morning, kisses another person on the forehead, says, "See you later," and then spends the day building a second life. How he managed to do both at the same time. Home renovations, conversations about having a baby, and that woman at a gas station on the side of the road. This wasn't a moment of weakness. It wasn't a crisis. It was routine. It was another life. That night she messaged me. Nothing important. A small complaint about work. A meme she thought I'd find funny. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. I thought, I need to tell her. But I didn't. I sent an emoji, pretended everything was normal. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering what kind of person I was. In the days that followed, I tried to convince myself I had seen it wrong. Maybe it was someone who looked like him. Maybe it was a cousin, a coworker. Maybe that gesture at the gas station was innocent, and I was the one projecting meaning onto it. But I knew it wasn't. I had seen the way she looked at him, the way he looked at her. You can't fake that. She kept talking about their future. She told me they had picked a baby name, said he seemed excited, that she had never seen him so present, so involved in their plans. Every word felt like a small form of torture, because I knew, and she didn't. I started pulling away. Not completely. Just enough to avoid being confronted with her happiness. She noticed, asked if I was okay. Something had happened. No, everything's fine, I said. She insisted. Said I seemed distant, that she trusted me. And there was the irony. She was asking me to trust her, while I was holding a secret that would destroy her life. I thought a lot about what to do. I made mental lists of pros and cons, imagined 1,000 versions of the conversation. I need to tell you something. I saw your husband. There's something you should know. None of them felt right. All of them felt cruel. I kept thinking, what if she already knows? What if they have an agreement? What if she chose not to see it because that was easier? I was afraid of destroying something she had decided not to question. But what held me back the most was more selfish than that. I was afraid of what would come after I told her. Her anger, her disbelief, her denial. And then, when she believed it, when everything collapsed, I would be there, at the center of the destruction, the messenger, the one who knew too much. I was afraid she would hate me, not for telling her, but for being the one who saw it, for becoming the person who carried that knowledge. I was afraid our friendship wouldn't survive, and I liked our friendship. She made me feel less alone, so I waited. On one side, her truth, her right to know, her life. On the other, my peace, my comfort, my cowardice disguised as protection. I chose to stay quiet. It wasn't a clear decision. I didn't wake up one day and decide to hide it forever. It was more like postponing. Tomorrow I'll tell her. Next week, when the right moment appears. But the right moment never comes for conversations like that. 2 months later, she called me euphoric. She was pregnant. She cried with happiness, said it was everything she had ever wanted, that he had gone into shock, then held her for so long she lost track of time, that she was so happy she couldn't breathe properly. I said all the right things, congratulated her, told her she would be an incredible mother, asked about symptoms, about when they'd find out the sex, about the nursery. When I hung up, I sat down on the living room floor. I didn't cry. I just sat there feeling the weight. Because now it wasn't just about her anymore. It was about a child. A baby who would grow up inside a lie I had helped maintain. I still had chances to tell her. There were days when she complained about him, about how distant he seemed, about how he would go out alone sometimes and not really explain where he was going, about how he was on his phone more than usual. On those days, the door was open. She was creating the opening herself. "I think something's off," she said once. "He's been acting strange." "It's probably work stress," I replied. And I closed the door again. The pregnancy moved forward. She became more radiant with time, despite the nausea, the exhaustion, her body changing. She was happier than I had ever seen her. He also seemed more present. He showed up more often, placed his hand on her belly, made plans for the baby's room. I watched him and tried to understand. How could he do it? How did he sleep at night? How did he look at her knowing what she didn't know? Had he ended it with the other woman? Had he chosen? Had my silence given him time to fix things? Or had it simply made him better at hiding? The baby was born on a Tuesday morning. She sent me a photo a few hours later, her face exhausted and glowing, the baby in her arms, him beside her, smiling at the camera. A perfect family. I saved the photo, but I can't look at it. In the first months, she was so absorbed in motherhood that we barely talked. Short messages, quick updates, photos of the baby. I felt relief. Distance made everything easier. But slowly she came back, wanting to reconnect. Quick outings while he stayed with the baby, long phone calls while she breastfed in the middle of the night, and I started carrying it all again. One day, almost a year after the birth, she told me they had started couples therapy. "I think we lost ourselves a bit after the baby," she said. "It's normal, right? Everyone says the beginning is hard." I agreed, said yes, it was normal. Then she added, "He was very honest in therapy. Said things I didn't know. It was hard to hear, but I think it's helping." My heart raced. "What kind of things?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Oh, nothing major," she said. "Feelings, expectations, the kind of things we don't talk about day to day." I stayed quiet. She still didn't know. Or maybe he hadn't told her yet. Or maybe he really had ended it and that life was buried in the past. But I still knew, and she still didn't. I thought about telling her that day. It was the perfect opening. She was talking about honesty, about transparency, about things left unsaid. I could have said, "If you're being honest with each other, there's something you need to know." But I didn't. Because at that point, telling the truth wasn't about honesty anymore. It was about destruction. A year had passed. A baby had been born. They were trying. They were in therapy. They were building something. And I would arrive with a bomb from the past and blow everything up. What? For a clean conscience? For morality? Or because I hadn't had the courage before and now I wanted relief? I let the moment pass, and I kept letting it pass, year after year. Sometimes I imagine that truth is like a locked door inside us. You know exactly where it is. You know you could open it, but you also know that once you do, you'll never be able to close it again. I've lived all these years with that door right there, walking past it every day, pretending I couldn't hear the noise coming from the other side. There are nights when I dream that I tell her. In the dream, the conversation is simple. There's no screaming, no scene. She listens in silence, takes a deep breath, and thanks me for being honest. But I wake up knowing that's a lie. Nothing about this story would ever be simple. The truth is, I don't know how she would react. I never did. And maybe that's what scared me the most. Not knowing. We like to believe that the truth always sets us free, that saying what needs to be said fixes things. But anyone who's been close enough to a big truth knows this. It doesn't set you free. It displaces you. It dismantles entire lives. And I didn't have the courage to be the earthquake in hers. Over time, silence becomes a habit, then it becomes character, then it becomes identity. I became the person who knows and doesn't speak. Sometimes I wonder if that didn't shape me in other ways too, if it didn't make me more contained, more careful, more distant, as if part of me was always busy holding something too heavy to put down. Maybe everyone carries something like that, a truth they never told, a conversation they postponed until it disappeared, a choice made more for survival than for courage. Maybe what changes isn't the secret itself, but the price we pay for it. My price was learning to live with versions. Her version, happy in photos. His version, present at birthdays. The version of the story that works, as long as no one asks too many questions. And my version, always incomplete. I still stop at gas stations on the road sometimes. Pull over, go inside to buy water, look around. Nothing happens. Nothing ever does. But my body reacts like it could happen again. Like the past is always one step away from reappearing, not because it wants to be told, but because it wants to be remembered. Some truths don't ask for a voice. They ask for space inside you. I gave it too much space. If there's any lesson in all of this, it's not about right or wrong. It's about responsibility, about understanding that silence is also an action. And every action has consequences, even when no one sees them. I didn't tell her, and that was my choice. I don't know if it was the best one. I don't know if it was the worst. I only know it was mine. And maybe that's what weighs the most. Not the secret itself, but knowing that when it mattered, I chose myself. If you've ever carried something like this, if you've ever stood in that space between what you know and what you say, then you understand. Some truths never leave us. They just learn how to live in silence. And the question that remains, the one with no easy answer, is the same one that still follows me. What would you do if silence were easier than the truth?